Be on the low, no jokes.
No jokes.
Tunagapi on the front, don't stop.
Don't stop.
Tunagapi everywhere. Presence of the streets we spreading through the air. Still living fresh and living righteous. Redeem and redeem after. Passing these joints like it never felt my point. I'm on a hot joint. Heavy on this brief, I call it a hot point. Let's get it.
Yo. Nakwanga kwenye zone. You should watch your tone. My niggas wanakwanga on. Uspime. Nandikanga kwa phone. Hii ni radiation unasikiza ndani ya bars. Uspime. They know that I'm the Don. Teacher on duty nikipull up na viboko skinge. I keep it real kwa kila nacho kifanya. Plus I'm the sickest in the game. Uspinge. Roll over old dogs, new tricks. Politicians still using old tricks. Mindo connect, tukilink, take pics. Anytime ukiwa and shit tutaifix. Baba yao in the mix na wanajua wanafaa warudi keja by 6. Tafadhali usini jinx. Wananitakia mema au ni show kila siku kwa streets.
Tunagapi on the low, no jokes. Tunagapi on the front, don't stop. Tunagapi everywhere. Presence of the streets we spreading through the air. Still living fresh and living righteous. Redeem and redeem after. Passing these joints like it never felt my point. I'm on a hot joint. Heavy on this brief, I call it a hot point. Let's get it.
Vele church, nyuma nyang'ande. Ni hard kusurvive hizi pande. Ni kama hatupatani ya fande. Umewai yako, wana unihande. Nilikuwa na mcall, daily ya nipande. Maarifa kamchacha anigande. Ati sana ipei uliza tande. Low quality tabidi ni ipande. Sihitaji help clean my mess. All my sins got zero witnesses. Tupatane baraka unibless. Kapok vile unaserve the masses. Lame nigga, keep na pes. I trust me and I'll take my chances. Can't make dough, who make sense. Teachings are life, always miss classes.
Tunagapi on the low, no jokes. Tunagapi on the front.
Yeah, good afternoon, family. Hope you guys are doing amazing. Happy Tuesday. We're wishing you a beautiful one this particular day as you start your day, and welcome to yet another beautiful conversation of the Pan-African Bliss. My name is Joby. To those who are here for the first time, and of course, returning listeners on all our streaming platforms, Karibuni Sana once again, as we get to talk about how Kenya is set to become not a third world country, but literally a first world country. Literally, let me correct that on my topic. How Kenya is set to become a first world country, and at the same time, actually, you can say a third world country, because what are we getting ourselves into? This is not something that is beneficial to the people. This is not something that actually the people even know what the agenda is all about, but that is what we're going to be discussing. A video coming from Lynn Ngugi as she breaks down literally one of the speeches that Ruto was in. That is 2 weeks ago, and the video currently is going viral. And the question is, where is he going to get also this money? Because, this is all about the taxpayers. This is about us. This is not about them. They don't have any backup plan when it comes to their motions or anything they're doing, but that is what exactly we're going to be discussing. Karibuni Sana once again. Hope you guys get to enjoy the show of today as we get to move on. And of course, let me know where you're streaming with us live from. And of course, remember to download our app on the Google Play Store. Blackout Fire Network is the name. And of course, once you have the app, we have amazing organic supplements. We have an active apparel store where you can get yourself the merchandises and so much. So Karibuni Sana. For now, let me share some brain and focus as we get started.
Unlock your full potential with Brain and Focus, a powerful supplement designed to boost mental clarity, enhance memory, and sharpen concentration. Made from a blend of scientifically proven ingredients like ginkgo biloba, omega-3, and essential vitamins, Brain and Focus is crafted to fuel your mind. Our process ensures maximum potency and effectiveness, delivering the perfect balance of brain-boosting nutrients. Take just one capsule daily, as prescribed by your healthcare provider, and feel the difference. Whether it's powering through your workday or staying sharp in life's challenges, Brain and Focus keeps you at the top of your game. Stay sharp, stay focused, and stay ahead with Brain and Focus. Brain and Focus, fuel your mind, achieve more. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
Back, and without wasting much more of the time, I'm going to go straight to the video as we get to break it down because it's quite long, and I'd love us to get through with this conversation as we get to literally understand what most of the African countries are putting themselves into. This is not just about Kenya. We've seen recently, I've been talking about the privatization of the national assets, the public assets literally, which has been happening not just affecting Kenya, but we have countries like Tanzania. We saw both countries actually decided to sell our own ports. We also have another confirmation where we have NGOs that are actually coming into the country, and we can't even say anything as the majority of the people. Apart from that, we've seen other bills that actually are going to be affecting so many people when it comes to their land. So we're going to be breaking down because the question is, where is the 4 trillion going to be coming from? Is this going to be again a theft coming from the taxpayers? Should we expect more high taxes rising? Because currently, of course, the taxes, most of even the taxes we rejected in 2024, majority have already been passed. So is it literally this a way of stealing from the people and putting people more in oppression and modern day slavery, or is this going to be coming from the IMF and the World Bank? We need to understand what is clearly happening. Lynn Ngugi, shout out to her for always again breaking down so much that is happening in our country, our continent, specifically our country. I do give her the props.
Ruto has a dream. Listen to this.
Being a third world country is a mistake. We shouldn't be a third world country.
Who is the first question is, who is the cause of us being a third world country? Because the discussion has to be also held. When this, I hate the fact that when these kind of meetings are held, the public people or the majority of the people who are the attendees get to listen to this minority of group that are telling us fulfillments and promises that they'll never achieve. This is the same man who recently during the weekend, that was on Sunday or Saturday, I think on Sunday morning, there's a video of him that emerged when he was talking about how when you see leaders who are always on top of the cars selling agendas, these are leaders who are not going to take the country anywhere. And personally, I left a comment which people actually were participating and still participating in. You're the same leader who lacks an agenda. You're the same person who was on top of the cars selling ideas that you've not even fulfilled, not even one of them. Not even one of them. So I hate the fact that when these meetings are held, the people are not allowed to have a mic to air their opinions because you should be called out. The question should be, who is the beginning of the third world country? Who actually is, who sets up this third world countries? Who is actually the promoter of Africa not even moving forward, leave alone even Africa, your own countries? Example, you are a president. What have you done for the last 3 years? Nothing. How have you literally tried to save Kenya from being or looking like a third world country? Not in any sort of way. As a matter of fact, you're completely selling out and privatizing our lands and our assets. You're making the lives of people very difficult. So the first question should be, who are the biggest promoters and supporters of third world countries in their own countries? And it is you, Mr. Ruto.
We have what it takes. We have the men and women.
Oh.
We have the plans and the vision.
We have men and women. If you talk about this group of people, we're talking about actually the youth who are the majority, who are capable of actually actualizing what we want without putting any IMF, the World Bank, no organization, no collaboration, fake cooperation that we always have. We have a group of, like you said, we have a group of young women. You didn't actually generalize, but I'm going to generalize it for you. We have the biggest percentage of the people in this country and Africa totally are the youths. And who are the same people you keep on selling your agendas to on how you're going to change these countries from being a third world country or continent. And yet the same people, you've not created any job opportunities for them. A good example is what I was sharing yesterday about the how houses are going to be demolished in Kenya and how so many people, landlords, are about to lose their lands over this government because of the privatization of land, which if you bought a land way back then, according to the new bill, this doesn't belong to you. These are fake title deed and you'll have to acquire the land according to the new bill. So many people are going to become homeless. And we talked about actually how, if you look at some of the agendas and things we need to focus on and how we can make this country work instead of demolishing houses, creating affordable houses bullshit, which is very expensive. No one can live. I can't live in a 1.5 million house apartment. It's not even my own house or my own compound. It's an apartment. How am I paying 1.5 million a unit of an apartment? My job barely even gives me even 100,000, even 50,000 for me to be living in an apartment of 1 point something million. That's so crazy. So this is actually, I feel like this is the 15-minute city literally that is occurring in Kenya. That is what I'm trying to understand here. This, I think, is part of the 15-minute cities that we've been discussing, which is part of their agendas that they have been doing. And it's actually already in Kenya. So yes, we do have the young people, but you've not done anything to give them the chance, the opportunity to make this country better.
To change this country from a third world country to a first world country.
You've not done
We
that.
will be presenting proposals to Parliament in the next few weeks on how to move Kenya from a third world country to a first world country.
Is that even possible? Like, this is so crazy. What are you even talking about? Leave alone the terms that you've set up when you describe about the first world country. How do we even move this country from a third world country to, leave alone the agenda? I'm trying to not look at the agenda at this point. Let's remove the agenda, right? Let's look at just most of the African country. I mean, unless you're doing something like Ibrahim Traore, which is not going to take you a day or a month or a year for you to actualize what Ibrahim Traore is doing. And I talk about, like, you know, creating schools, building hospitals, and all of them free, building roads, which also this contributes to, employment of the young people, reduces the idleness in the society, in the community, contributes literally to the development of the country when you empower these young people. At the same time, it's going to reduce the insecurity we have when it comes to the same young people, because the amount of theft we have, especially in these particular seasons, it's super crazy. The amount of theft that actually young people are stealing from people out here, it's very alarming. Personally, sometimes when I'm when I'm going home, I'm super scared, being honest, at this particular point, because it's a very scary time, and especially being a woman walking in this kind of roads at night, it's you gotta be scared sometimes. Sometimes I do walk with my chest all out. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna beat someone. I'm gonna beat you. But there are times I've seen most of the videos, like I imagine from young people or CCTVs, where how people are being held, getting their things stolen on a gunpoint, and there's nothing you can do but just surrender, literally. Or if you try actually challenge them, they shoot you or they stab you, depends on what weapon they have. So there's nothing most of these presidents they have done to reduce any of this. It's all just bluffing always.
We need to deal with the challenge of infrastructure. We need possibly 1.5 trillion shillings to deal with roads, rail, and airports.
This is the same person. He also said we don't need rain. We need water. We don't need rain. We need water. It's crazy. This is the same man. These are videos that actually are going viral that I've not been able to discuss, but we talk about them sometimes on the rest of the shows, the midday shows. This is the same person who said, and this is where we go back to the climate change agenda, which is part of these agendas that they're trying to do with the first world countries and everything. He said we don't need rain, we need water. If you address the issue of water currently in Africa, leave alone Kenya, they have not even solved this. Can I remind you, last year in 2023, we had Mr. Beast, who came to Kenya and dug some boreholes to save majority of the communities from suffering from water. So the same person saying we don't need rain, we need water, he has not even actualized or improved the water system in any sort of way. Our drainage is very pathetic. Every time it rains just a little bit, people are getting carried away. cars are getting straight away. It's crazy. But this is the same person talking about how we need to do this and become a first world country. I mean, give them a round of applause. You gotta love these African leaders for real.
We need possibly another 1.5 trillion shillings
Oh.
to do energy.
So apart from 4 trillion to actualize roads, security, and the bullshit he mentioned, we need another 1.5 trillion for energy. This is the same person, let me remind you, 2-3 weeks ago, he said, 2 weeks ago to be precise, he said we're going to be facing power shortages from a coming period, from a certain coming period of time, whereby from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. we're not going to be having electricity. We're yet to see this happen, and we're not sure which counties are going to be affected. But this is coming. So the question is, where are you going to get the money? That's my question.
Another 1.5 trillion shillings to do agriculture, so that we bring under production another.
We have 4 trillion for we have 4 trillion for road and a lot of other things he mentioned, right? We have 1.5 trillion for energy. We have another 1.5 trillion. Oh my God.
About 2 million acres under irrigation.
Wow.
4 trillion shillings is possibly the money we need to be able to move our nation from importing food to exporting products. Making sure that all our regions and areas are accessible because we have roads and rail. And to raise that money, we do not have to increase taxes. We do not have to do anything extra.
It's a goddamn lie. Part of it is taxes. Personally, part of it is taxes. And these taxes don't even go back to none of these projects. Currently, I said Kenyans, not just Kenyans, we just saw even South Africans out there suffering economically. That was on Friday, I shared that. South Africa is drowning. South Africa is drowning. And we have other people yelling about other Africans coming to their country. No story for today, but this is going to go back to taxes. And it's sad because the current taxes we've been paying, they don't cover none of anything we expect. It's raining crazy.
Akili inahitajika ndio Kenya iweze kupiga hatua ya kwenda mbele. And that we have. The same way other nations change their status, move their countries from third world to first world, Kenya.
It's raining out of nowhere. This is crazy. Yeah.
Can move.
It's very sunny and it's raining.
From a third world country to a first world country in our lifetime. In the next 20 to 30 years, we can move this country to a first world country.
Oh.
Yes, that's him. Confident, bold, and very, very sure of himself.
Yeah.
You all heard what he said. He wants to make Kenya a first world country.
Yeah.
And honestly, he sounds very convincing. And one thing we are not going to do today is put a man who has a dream down. So let's analyze that dream. What could actually work, what's pure PR, and what might never see the light of day. But before we go in
it's crazy.
further, let's answer one simple question. What exactly makes a country first world? When politicians talk about a first world country, they are not just talking about big roads, skyscrapers, or new airports.
Exactly.
A country becomes first class when the system works for everyone, not just for the few. Technically, here is what that means. First, the average citizen earns enough to live a comfortable, stable life. According to the World Bank, a country is considered high income when every person earns on average around $14,000 a year. That's about.
But the World Bank is the first biggest promoter of ensuring this won't happen as well. We have to also emphasize that. This is according to their terms. I hope you guys can hear me loud and clear. But yes, the World Bank is one of the countries that actually doesn't even actualize this. They don't want African countries or African people to live with equality. This is why we have all the time African leaders always going back to beg for loans. For what? And we can't even see the development of these loans and the money you're giving us. And the worst part of it is how we have to pay back with so much interest and not with our currency. we have to pay back in the currency they have loaned us with. This is all a scam.
2 million shillings per person. Kenya's average right now is around $2,000. That's about 300,000 shillings a year. So for Kenya to reach that first world level, the average income per person would have to grow almost 7 times. Are we together? Secondly, a first-class country makes and sells things. It just doesn't buy. It processes its own food.
Exactly.
Builds.
He's talking about us exporting. Are you crazy? Was it importing, exporting, which you don't even benefit from either?
Its own machines, makes its own medicine, and exports them.
Exactly.
That is why countries like South Korea, Japan, and Singapore rose fast. They built industries and added value to their resources. Kenya, on the other hand, still exports roti, raw coffee, raw minerals, and imports the finished products at triple the price. Our manufacturing sector has actually been shrinking, sitting at about 7% of GDP, when successful economies have manufacturing contributing to 20 to 25%. A first world country has strong systems. We are talking about schools that actually prepare the youth for the job market, great hospitals, courts that deliver justice, and police who protect without bribery. Citizens trust their institutions because they work. Kenya is improving, yes, but we still lose billions every year.
No, it's not improving. According to the GDP, yes, it has improved according to our GDP. But that is just their numbers for me. According to me, there's no improvement on what? On what? That's the question. What is there to see that has improved in Kenya today? Since Shusto became a president, can you just be factual for real? What has this man done? Maybe I'm the one who's behind. I report news every Monday to Friday. I'm online every single day. Every single day. Every minute, every hour. I'm online to see what's popping, what's new, what's happening with our government. I'm so engaged politically to see what is. So what is this? What has this government fulfilled to say that we've actually grown? There's nothing.
Corruption in government projects that are often announced faster than they are even finished. So before we talk about first world, we must talk about fixing such issues. And fourthly, energy and infrastructure. A first world country has reliable power, fast transport, and affordable internet. The basics that allow businesses to run without fear of blackouts or inflated bills. Kenya's power sector is still very expensive, and some of our
actually it has become very expensive because our Kenya Power was privatized, and ever since it was privatized, things have not been the same, especially when it comes to tokens. Personally, leave alone even the studio. Personally, I don't have many things in my house like electronics. The only thing that is gonna stay on most of the times is the TV and the fridge currently. Mostly it's the TV and maybe taking the hot shower, which doesn't consume a lot of, tokens. But today you put tokens that could last for like 3 weeks. They're lasting a week. It's not making any sense. So we're not moving anywhere forward.
Our biggest infrastructure projects like the SGR are yet to show a clear return on the investment. Fifth, human development is something that we must take a look at. In a truly developed country, people live longer, healthier lives. Their children don't drop out of school because of poverty, and mothers are not dying in hospitals while giving birth. That's measured by something called the Human Development Index, and Kenya ranks around 150 globally, far from the top tier. Finally, a first-class country is not just rich in money, it is also rich in order. Things work. You can plan your life knowing that tomorrow electricity will be on, fuel prices will be stable, and your leaders will follow the law. That is what Ruto says he wants for Kenya by 2055. And honestly, it's a dream every Kenyan should envision. But the gap between where we are and where he wants us to go is huge. Right now,
exactly. The gap is so big. And that's what I'm saying. Personally, if we remove the agenda, because we understand what this agenda is all about, there's nothing fast about these countries. We're about to become again 15-minute cities. We're going to apply to the same agendas that are expected to apply to the rest of the countries. If not accepting homosexuality, not respecting homosexuality, and all types of bullshit. So we have a very big gap. Man, Kibera is not what you just see on the screen. I'm glad to have gone to Kibera. It was this year, yeah. I'm glad to have gone to Kibera because what? That's a very, very big gap to talk about. You want to have a first world country. What's your strategy? You've not even dealt with the affordable houses. They're even affordable. You've not dealt, or you don't have a strategy on how you're going to deal with slums or reducing slums, creating job opportunities. You're just talking about how we need to collaborate with other countries that are way ahead of us by stealing resources from Africa.
Kenya is officially a lower middle income country, not poor, but far from rich. We are still in the early stages of industrial growth, struggling with debt, unemployment, and governance challenges. So when the president says he wants to make Kenya first world by 2055, it is very possible, but only if Kenya changes how it works, not just what it builds. Because again, a country doesn't become first class through speeches. It becomes first class when corruption becomes a crime, not
exactly number one, which is this is not corruption. I've said this has become part of our lives. It's just the truth. Corruption, we've dealt with dealing with a corrupt system to the point this is a part of the mwananchi daily expectation of living. When you talk about the cops, when you talk about when you go to other places, when you go to hospitals, when you go to schools, when you go to other places, if you want things done very quickly, you have to bribe your way in. It's who do you know who knows you. That's how this shit works. That's how it works here for majority of the people. Like I said yesterday, there are people who have good connections. There are people who know people and they don't have to pay money because of the connections they've had or the relationship they have with these people. But majority of us have to pay our way to get things done. And that's just the truth. So until we change this, the system of corruption becomes a crime. Exactly, you can see the money sign, like give me, I give you, that's how it works.
All right? When you have education that creates thinkers, not job seekers.
Critical thinkers, exactly.
And when leaders dream big, but they also deliver bigger. So how exactly does Ruto want to take us there? Let's start with food security. This is one of his biggest concerns.
Yeah.
And this is a very great idea. But
like Bill Gates, that is also, that is Bill Gates. Let's not forget that's Bill Gates also one of them. The biggest concern when it comes to Africa.
The numbers do not add up at all. Ruto says Kenya will build 50 mega dams and irrigate 2 million acres of farmland. And the goal is simple: end hunger, stop food imports, and turn farming into business. And this plan falls under what his administration calls the 100 Dams program, estimated to cost around 650 billion Kenya shillings. That's about 4.2 billion US dollars. According to the Ministry of Water, each of the mega dams is expected to cost anywhere between 8 billion and that billion Kenya shillings, depending on size and location. Some of the flagship ones include Dhiba Dam in Kirinyaga, High Grand Falls on River Tana, Mwache in Kwale, Ruiru we have one, Korusoin, and Bosto Dam in Bomet. But here's the reality. Kenya has been here before. We've had this story before.
Yep.
The Arrow and Kimwarel Dam scandal under the Jubilee administration cost taxpayers over 63 billion Kenya shillings.
And where is it today? Where's that money? Crickets. Let's go on.
With nothing to show for it. Investigations later revealed inflated costs, ghost consultancy fees, and illegal tendering.
Where's that money? Crickets again.
Until today, those sites remain bare ground. The Thwake Multipurpose Dam, one of the largest in eastern Kenya, has faced years of delays due to funding shortfalls. Contractor disputes are also there, and slow relocation of affected communities. It is now projected to be completed almost 5 years behind schedule. So, when Ruto promises 50 new mega dams, the big question is not how ambitious it sounds, because it sounds ambitious, but we also have to ask who will fund it and who will finish it.
Exactly. Where is the money coming from? Good questions. Shout out to kids for teaching me this, and for, see, the education is going all the way down. People are starting to understand, follow the money, and that's how you'll get to understand who is behind this scheme, who wants to benefit from this scheme, who is the scheme maker, because it's not Ruto. Ruto is just following orders. That's what he's doing. So who is funding this project? If it's not Kenyans from the tax paying, I don't know who's funding this.
Because according to the National Treasury, Kenya's current public debt is hovering around 12 trillion Kenya shillings.
Are you kidding me? And we are supposed to have 4 trillion to become.
And just servicing that debt already consumes over half of every shillings collected in taxes. Yes, half of every shilling the government collects is going where? To taxes. So unless private investors step in through the public-private partnerships, PPPs, the money simply isn't there. Ruto has also promised to irrigate 2 million acres. And just to give you perspective, guys, Kenya currently has only about 670,000 acres under irrigation. Most of it is in schemes, like Mwea, Bura, and Pakera. That means tripling the current capacity. It's very doable. We said we are not going to put him down. He has a dream. That's doable, but it's also extremely expensive. A World Bank study once estimated it costs around 150 to 250,000 Kenya shillings per acre to bring new land under irrigation, depending on terrain and infrastructure. So 2 million acres could cost over Kenya shillings 300 billion just for irrigation.
Wow.
And we have not included maintenance, storage, or distribution. Now,
that's just irrigation. And then we also have, of course, the debt. Come on.
That with the dam costs, and we are talking about 1 trillion Kenya shillings for water-related projects alone. That is more than Kenya's entire annual education and health budget combined. So yes, the dream makes sense, but the math is not mathing. And if there's anything we've learned is we have to identify where the cracks start. Overpriced tenders, delayed payments, abandoned projects, contractors walking out, and farmers left waiting for water that never comes. If the government wants to get this right, it must not just build dams. It must finish those dams, run them, and make sure the people on the ground benefit. Because a dam that does not deliver water is not a development project. This is just an expensive monument to bad planning. Kenya does not need more mega headlines. No, we need working boreholes, functioning irrigation canals, and affordable inputs for small farmers. And those are what turn a food system around, not these big headlines. Because without that, we will still be importing maize, rice, and sugar in 2055, even as we are here cutting ribbons for unfinished mega dams.
Not even unfinished, not even touched, not even tackled, like not even unfinished.
Yeah. The result is we will still be importing this thing.
Exactly.
Next, let's take a look at one of his biggest dreams, and this is industrialization. This is the engine that could definitely change everything if it actually works. If there's one part of Ruto's plan that could truly push Kenya towards first world status, it's this one. Because no country has ever become developed by exporting raw materials alone. You can't build a strong economy by selling unprocessed tea and coffee and then importing packaged tea from Europe at triple the price.
Can we also add the fact that we don't even control the most of them, this raw this unfinished products that we're talking about? Can you talk about the tea, the coffee? We don't even control that, Lynn.
Ruto knows this, and that's why he has promised to make Kenya a regional manufacturing hub, a place where we process, package, and export value-added goods, not raw products. His plan is centered on special economic zones and industrial parks in key areas like Naivasha, Dongokudu, Vipingo, and Sagana. And the goal is to create manufacturing clusters linked to ports, highways, and power stations, where local and foreign investors can set up factories with tax breaks, cheap electricity, and easier licensing. Now, this is very smart. We spoke about Singapore yesterday. They did that.
Good morning to Jiba Jaba and Karibu Sana. Hope you're doing great today. Wishing you a beautiful day and welcome.
South Korea, Malaysia, and even Ethiopia all used this exact model. Build zones, attract investors, export aggressively, but here is where the Kenyan vision hits a wall. The basics still don't work. Even what we have does not work.
Exactly.
All right? In Ruto's 2023 and 2024 budget statements, he allocated over 40 billion shillings for industrial parks and export processing zones, with funding split between the National Treasury, county governments, and private investors. The Kenya Development Corporation was tasked to coordinate these projects under the Manufacturing, MSME, and Export Promotion Program, targeting at least 20 country-based industrial parks. The plan is that each county industrial park will cost around Kenya shillings 500 million to 1 billion, with counties contributing land and national government providing basic infrastructure like power, water, and access roads. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of them are still on paper. These are things that we are still being told we will do, we will do, we will do. As of now, only a handful, like Naivasha Industrial Park, in partnership with China, and Dongokundu, which is near Mombasa, have seen actual physical construction. The rest are either under feasibility studies or still waiting for funds. Some counties have land disputes, others lack environmental clearance, and some simply don't have the local capacity to start. Let's take Dongokundu as an example. It was meant to be the flagship special economic zone. 3,000 acres located right next to the port of Mombasa. It's been in the works since 2014 with Japanese funding and Kenyan government backing. And the full project is projected to cost about 225 billion Kenya shillings, with the first phase alone taking around 39 billion Kenya shillings. Construction officially began in 2022. And by now, only the first phase, we are talking about roads, power lines, and part of the fence, is near completion, right? So there are no factories, not yet, no investors, and a few people have signed letters of intent, but no mass production has started. Meanwhile, Kenya's manufacturing sector continues to shrink. It now contributes only 7% of GDP, down from 11% a decade ago. To become an upper middle income country, the World Bank says manufacturing should contribute at least 20%. So Kenya is moving in the opposite direction, not to mention the cost of doing business in this country. Even if those parks were ready tomorrow, industries would still struggle with high electricity, high taxes, and unpredictable policy. The average industrial power cost in Kenya is about 22 to 25 per unit for general public and 11 to 12 shillings for industrial users, compared to around 9 shillings in Egypt and 10 to 12 in South Africa. That difference alone makes Kenya less competitive before a single product even leaves the factory gate. And then there's the tax instability. Every year we have new levies, new VAT rules, new import duties. How do you plan for 10 years when government changes rules every budget cycle? Not even for 25 years, for 10 years. For 10 years, you are changing so many things. Even if I was a business person, I don't want to be here. And that's why many local manufacturers, including textile and food processors, have quietly shifted operations to Tanzania and Ethiopia, where electricity and logistics costs are lower and the regulatory environment is more predictable. They won't wake up one day and tell you we are changing this, we are changing this.
Actually, in Tanzania, my observation, it's very rare for lights to go off when you're there. We experienced just once. Power went out, I think, just once. I've never seen power outages like the way it's always like a norm here in Kenya or maybe other countries. Like either a week doesn't go without lights going off, or 2 weeks, or a month. Tanzania is quite different. So that's why you can see what she's talking about, why people would shift there, and other countries that have more stable energy.
We are changing this. What could actually work if Ruto wants this pillar to succeed are 3 things. And these 3 things must happen fast. Fix power costs,
exactly.
Please. Expand.
They say the power cost has really gone super high. Since the privatization of our Kenya Power, literally, this was at the beginning of 2023, when we had some of the first public assets that were privatized. Kenya Power was one of it. And since, especially recently, this year, people have been complaining about tokens, me being one of them. I don't have so many electrical objects or things in my house, but it's crazy how tokens that could last for 2-3 weeks, they're only lasting for a week. It's not making sense.
And cheap geothermal and solar, not just expensive IPPs. Simplify taxes and reduce permits. Kenya currently needs at least 11 different approvals to start a factory.
Yep.
Who got time for that? And then number 3, support local sourcing. Government tenders should favor Kenyan-made products, not imported alternatives. Kenya already has strong foundations. We have a strategic location with 2 major ports. We have Mombasa and Lamu. We have skilled people, young people who are ready to work. We have access to regional markets through the East Africa community.
Let's not forget our ports were also privatized.
And if the country gets the policy side right, it can absolutely become a mini industrial hub for East Africa. But if we continue announcing projects faster than we are building them, this dream will stall, just like Dongo Kundu's first bulldozers. So yes, industrialization could turn Kenya into a true producer nation, but only if we fix the basics. Reliable power, consistent policy, honest leadership like Singapore, and real support for local investors, not theatrics. Otherwise, all we will have by 2025 are industrial parks that look good when we are taking the shots, but they are very empty inside.
Exactly.
Next, let's take a look at infrastructure and energy, because this is the flashy part of Ruto's plan. The one where he thinks we will have flyovers, electric trains, and clean energy, right? It is the part that looks very good when he's campaigning around, but it's also the one that can drown this country in debt. Ruto says he wants to complete the SGR all the way from Naivasha to Kisumu and then to Malaba, basically linking Kenya to Uganda and beyond. And that stretch alone is expected to cost around 390 billion Kenya shillings. That is roughly $3 billion US. And remember, the first phase from Mombasa to Naivasha already cost Kenyans about 480 billion shillings. So if we finish the line all the way to Malaba, the total bill will easily cross around 800 billion Kenya shillings. That is almost the size of Kenya's entire education budget for 5 years combined. And the idea behind it makes a lot of sense. Move goods faster, connect factories to ports, open up trade routes to Uganda, Rwanda, and Congo. But the question is, will it pay for itself? Because right now, even the first phase of the SGR is struggling to break even. The government still has to subsidize operations, and some importers have quietly gone back to using trucks because it's cheaper. So before adding another 390 billion Kenya shillings, Kenyans deserve to know, what is the business plan, Jamani? Will this new railway actually move goods for our factories and farmers, or will it just move debt numbers in our budget, Then there's the second big promise, energy. Ruto says he wants to expand Kenya's electricity generation to 10,000 megawatts. And right now, Kenya produces roughly 3,200 megawatts. So he's talking about tripling that capacity. And to be fair, Kenya is one of Africa's leaders in renewable energy. We already get most of our power from geothermal, mainly Olkaria in Naivasha, which produces about 900 megawatts. We've also got wind from Lake Turkana.
It's very small still. 900 megawatts, it's very little.
Then we have a bit of hydro here and solar coming in. And the plan is to bring in more private investors through the PPPs and expand geothermal plants like Olkaria and Menengai, plus solar farms in places like Garissa and Isiolo. If that all goes well, we will have enough energy for factories, homes.
No, privatization will not make us gain anything. That's one thing I'd love to correct, because personally understanding why we have a lot of privatization, our loans contribute a big factor into it. I love going back to me understanding clearly the rules of the IMF and the World Bank and why many countries end up privatizing their public assets. What leads to this? Major key is actually the countries being in debt from this organization, the World Bank and the IMF. So private investors are not here to make the solution better. You already owe them. So why would they be here to make anything better for you? You, the majority, that's the question. So there, for me, Lynn Guge, I'd love to correct you. It's all a pattern of, it's all, part of learning. I give her grace personally. I love giving her grace personally. And she might not speak so much facts because of also the YouTube numbers and the YouTube money, or maybe getting our YouTube taken down. But privatization is not them going into these actually regions and taking over these things, controlling these segments. We're done. We're doomed as a country. We're completely a third world. Like for real. And we're not going to escape that.
And electric transport. But here's the catch. Having enough power does not mean having affordable power.
Exactly.
Kenya's electricity is among the most expensive in Africa. Most industries will pay.
Did you hear? Kenya electricity is one among the expensive in Africa.
As we said, 11 to 12 per kilowatt hour. Well, factories in Egypt or South Africa pay almost half that. And that's why so many Kenyan manufacturers are struggling, not because they don't have machines, but because they can't afford to run them. So even if we build new power plants, unless we cut down the cost per unit, especially for our industries, Kenya's dream of becoming an industrial hub will not add up. You can't compete globally if your electricity is more expensive than your product. No. And all this, the SGR, the power plants, the roads, the dams cost money, a lot of money. Then you go back now and you realize Kenya's public debt is now around 12 trillion Kenya shillings, which is roughly 68% of our GDP. And as we said, that means for every shilling the government collects, more than half goes to paying old loans that we can't tell what they did. Loans that up to date, we are still being forced to pay, but we can't see the products. We can't see the results.
That's what I said, and that's the problem. That's why we have privatization. because the question is, where does the money go?
So when you
Then where is the 4 trillion supposed to be coming from?
hear about new mega projects, you have to ask yourself, where is that money coming from? And Ruto says he wants us to finance this.
Exactly.
And this part is where I get to say, and this part has been said a lot. We do not have a problem with
I would be
paying
able to work if we
we
didn't.
have a problem with you asking us to pay taxes and us not seeing the result,
Exactly.
right? You cannot keep comparing us to places like Singapore when they can see the result.
Exactly.
You can't keep saying, you know, I went to London
China.
or I did this. Have you seen the infrastructure?
And these people, the infrastructure is all built back on the backs of Africans and Africa itself, because all these resources are being stolen. Just like today, there's a plane that crashed that was actually stealing resources, minerals from Congo, and it crashed. And I was like, hell yeah, the universe is tired of your bullshit of always taking resources from us. And it's finally you're being exposed because you do these things in secret. Nobody knows where all the profit of our resources, where it goes, literally who benefits. Most of the people don't know this, especially the miners. Like yesterday, we had over 70 people who died still in DRC Congo on a mining site, where most of the resources coming from that country literally power majority of the countries in the world, the biggest percentage of the countries in the world. So it's, where is the money going to be coming from? That's the good question. Karibu sana Keith.
Good morning, Joby. How are you?
I'm great. You?
I'm good. I'm
Karibu.
okay.
Nice. But anyway, as we continue, we're talking about Kenya, which is set to use 4 trillion. Not sure if this is in dollars or Kenyan shillings. He has not specified, but we need 4 trillion to make Kenya the first world country. But for me, I'd say we need 4 trillion to make Kenya a third world country, because he's talking about how we have young people, including men and women, who can be, if empowered, they can actualize this. But the question is, what have you created? Because if you talk about the lack of job opportunities, those are one of the things that is affecting the biggest percentage of youths, not just in Kenya but Africa. You've not created any job opportunities for these people. You've not created any industries. We've talked about
You're talking about the youth. I don't even talking about. I'm talking about for everybody. There's no jobs in Africa. They haven't created any jobs. There's not just for the youth, but just everybody. They want everybody to go be slaves. Go be a maid and be a slave and be a slave somewhere. Like, what are you talking about? It's crazy talk. Go ahead.
Yes, Lynn Cookie is breaking that down, and that's what I'm sharing. And she's explaining how we cannot just be able to become, even if, leave alone the agenda of the first world countries. We can't even be a first world country because the gap we have is so big. If you look at places like Kibera, these people have not even, they don't have a strategy how they can handle slums. They don't have a strategy on how they can, without using China, how we can create long-lasting and good projects of roads. And this includes you giving people a job opportunity. We don't have enough sustainable power when we talk about the energy. This is why we have so many people shifting their business from Kenya to other countries like Tanzania and the rest that have sustainable power. So most of the things is mentioning about us becoming a first world country. We actually, number one, we're in debt. Then we have Lynn Ngugi talking about how privatization, these people come in these privatization sectors and take this and this and this, how it's going to boost us. But personally, I disagree, because I love going back again, like I was explaining, what the rules said of the IMF and the World Bank, which we need to be very heavy on and understand what is Ruto talking about and where is the money coming from. Because if it comes from this same organization, we're talking about more privatization of our assets. Kenya currently is standing at $12 trillion, literally in terms of debt. And we're talking about projects that are supposed to be costing us $4 trillion. So where is this money coming from? If not from the taxes, from the taxpayers who are us, we're already being oppressed with the taxes we already have, meaning things are going to become more tougher. We're discussing about electricity currently, which is what she's talking about. Kenya happens to be with the most expensive electricity in most of the African country, actually in the whole of the African continent. Kenya has the most expensive electricity, and still it's not even sustainable. It's not. At the barber shop, I just see the lights have gone off. I won't be because it's raining, which happens most of the times. Every time it rains here, lights just go off. this is not supposed to be happening. We have dams that have been left pending since 2014 of talking about how we're gonna create sustainable energy using this and this. Nothing. Where's the money? You know, so it's really crazy.
Have you
The
seen
Africans,
that?
like
Have you
Joby
seen the
said, like, so,
infrastructure?
hold on, let me say something. Before Africans get out, before, you finally get outrageous, like Trump said, only Africans can live in this poverty and don't do shit about it. Only Africans live all fucked up and don't say nothing about it. So finally, you're saying something. The money's been stolen for generations. Can you imagine living in a country? Can you imagine how backward you are? I'm gonna call you no leader. You haven't built any infrastructure. How backward you are. Because most of the infrastructure, guys, in Africa was built by the Europeans. Sad to say that. Let me be honest. The goofy ass leaders ain't built shit. Everybody floods all the time. They haven't done shit. It's just been this constant theft of money. That's why you always can bribe an African to overthrow the leader that doesn't do what the white man said. Always. Only in Africa, all these coups all the time. Because don't nobody want to fucking do shit. Everybody wants to be rich, and let's be rich and don't do nothing. Let's not put any work in and actually build. I don't know where this came from. I don't know how this culture. I don't know where this fucking culture came from. It's not Kenya. It's Africa. Because it ain't so. So somehow the European came in. These Negroes don't want to build. It's absolutely fucking insane. I try to research. Try to think about. Always try to go back and understand some of research. I don't understand this part of an African man. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I'm sorry you can stand next to your children living in the country. You want to build for your own children. I don't get it. But you'll rob everything from it, but you won't build shit. You won't build up decent hospitals. You won't build decent schools. You got schools in Kenya and Africa look like some shit from the 1800s. It's fucking crazy. You're like, what? This is a school? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And they have no shame. They're the laughing stocks of the planet. They go where people laugh at the Africa. Morons can't even build shit. About the Europeans, we need to go back and take it over. These niggas can't even build. They don't even build anything. They don't know how to build nothing. That's why people are so excited about Ibram Torah who's building. Because these Negroes don't build shit. It's crazy. Like they just don't give a fuck. They just steal money. It's constantly they just all steal. Because they knew that the African is peaceful and don't protest. Finally, the Africans it took a long time for the Africans finally say enough is enough. Long time. There been all this crazy poverty. Like, what are you talking? What? That Africans don't believe they deserve dignity and rights like everybody else around the world. That's why they always run. But these Africans are running out the country trying to get out of there. Everybody wants to get out of Africa. Ain't it funny? They all want to leave. I want to leave. Asking the African from Kenya to Ghana, you want to leave? You want to get your passport and a visa out of there? You listen, yeah, get me out of here. Because ain't nobody fucking built shit. I ain't go anywhere in Africa. Say, hey, you want a passport? You want a permanent visa in Europe or Asia, America? They'll tell you yeah in a fucking minute. They want the fuck out of there. Because these Negroes. Go ahead, Joey.
As I get to wind up, let me play this video.
Wind up? Damn, I thought you started.
No.
So we have to ask ourselves, are we borrowing more to build new things? Well, we are still paying for the old ones, the ones with no results. Huh?
Exactly.
We also ask ourselves, are we finally learning how to fund development without drowning future generations? I don't see us learning.
Exactly.
If the borrowing continues,
this ain't about learning. They have learned.
Our infrastructure looks very modern.
This is stupid talk.
But our economy can't breathe. Because every month, our taxes will go to repaying loans instead of hiring teachers, buying hospital beds, or even funding innovation. Please remember this, even as he speaks so proudly about it. Ruto's infrastructure and energy plan could either make or break his first world dream. If done right, with transparency, with great planning. And
it won't be done right. That is why I'll close up with this. It will. We know it's not gonna be done right, but I'm gonna share the rest of the video for you guys to continue from the 30th minute, 20 minutes remaining on that particular segment. But shout out to Lynn Ngugi. I still give her my props for educating.
Nah, we good. You ain't got to share that because Black Americans will be upset. You want to share that? It's all Millie mouth nonsense. If they only do this, no, we know, no, they're not doing. They're stealing it. So we don't. Nah, we're good. You don't have to share that with us. We're not gonna look at that. And everybody in Black America gonna get say, hey, don't share this nonsense with us. We want straight talk. We don't want nobody just.
I won't share it. Listen, but anyway, much love, family. Thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to Jiba Jaba. Thank you for tuning in today. I see earlier you were saying that they're digging with a spoon. Also, you added that like with my bill, they must have raised the kilowatt per hour change. The utility commissions always approves a rate hike request. Yeah, so it's up to us, literally the people, again, to either go all in on this government, ensure things change according to how we want them, or we stay the same. Like Green has a point, when will we ever learn? I'm still heavy on that. It's all about learning. No one is perfect. No one was born.
They say, she said, as will the government learn? She said, as the government know what they're doing.
It's not about the government. It's also as the people. According to me, she's not just talking to the government alone, but also to the people, because we're the majority. It is affecting us, not the government. It is affecting us, the people.
And then why don't she say it then? That's what I want to say. Don't say, will we learn? All that Millie Mouth shit. Will we learn? Will we ever learn? That's the government. The government's not learning. The government don't give a shit. Whether the people uprise and say enough is enough. That's what we want to say. She's not going to say it. She's on YouTube and she's scared. So please, I don't need no fake revolutionaries. You're gonna be shut up, even. If you're gonna be a revolutionary, be one. If you're not, shut the fuck up. I don't want no fake revolutionaries no more. I'm tired of it. Tired of all the Millie Mouth talk.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and have yourselves a beautiful day. This is where I wind up with today's conversation. Peace, and I'm out.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Here is Andrew Robinson, your Jamaican brother, all the way in Switzerland. And I'm reaching out to all of my brothers and sisters on the African continent.
All these half-measure talks. Get out of here.
Black Hot Fire Radio.